After more than a decade of procedural sidesteps, reports say a court order has finally pushed Jay-Z toward the DNA question Raymir Satterthwaite has chased for years. If a test result emerges the way online whispers suggest, it could rewrite part of Jay-Z's carefully managed family narrative and ignite scrutiny over why something so straightforward took so long. Raymir Satterthwaite frames the present phase as a rupture in the stalemate, not a polite suggestion but a directive to move toward genetic clarity involving Jay-Z. His repeated motive, "I just want the truth," counters the automatic assumption that attaching a name like Jay-Z's must be about money. Viewers lock onto the contrast, a simple swab versus years of legal maneuvering. Unverified chatter online claims a DNA test may have occurred or is imminent. Some posts even allege a confirming result, though no official citable record has surfaced publicly. That vacuum between rumor and verification is retention fuel. Debate loops and comments extend watch time. Raymir is positioned by supporters as a symbol of people denied closure by power and process. Skeptics, meanwhile, caution against accepting leaked language without documents. To understand why this single procedural push feels seismic, you have to see the series of legal shut doors stretching back over a decade. Raymir's initial paternity suit appeared in Pennsylvania, reported around 2010, 2 years after Jay-Z married Beyoncé, and was dismissed on technical grounds, age and timing issues rather than a DNA exclusion. He then sought traction in New Jersey. Jay-Z's legal team argued lack of personal or business ties to that jurisdiction, persuading the court there was no basis to compel a test. A subtle identity technicality became a strategic hinge. Documents referencing a Sean Carter surfaced, but defense framing stressed that the claimant had not proven that the Sean Carter in those tax records definitively was Jay-Z. That razor distinction didn't resolve biological truth, it deferred it. Delay can function as a shield. Each procedural reset risks exhausting a claimant's resources and public patience. For neutral observers, multiple dismissals without a definitive DNA outcome begin to feel like avoidance, even if each dismissal has a colorable legal rationale. Perception shapes narrative momentum on social platforms faster than reading court dockets. While filings looped, Raymir's personal origin narrative built emotional gravity, identity stakes that paperwork alone couldn't mute. According to Raymir Satterthwaite's account, a brief connection ended. By the time Raymir was born, he cites 1993, contact had ceased and she reunited with a prior boyfriend, Robert Graves. Robert's name, Raymir says, went on the birth certificate for stability. Years later, he says his mother privately identified Jay-Z as the possible biological father. Raymir then pursued a DNA test with Robert Graves. He reports it excluded Robert, leaving a void rather than delivering closure. His stated stance: he will accept embarrassment if proven wrong but cannot accept indefinite silence. That willingness to risk public rejection signals sincerity to viewers saturated with celebrity clout narratives. Then an allegation surfaces that shifts tone from slow legal erosion to something more charged. Raymir alleges a disturbing incident, discovering a firearm placed in his vehicle. He says he immediately questioned a friend and during that call police arrived. According to his account, surveillance footage showed another individual depositing the weapon, supporting his claim it was not his. This anecdote, framed responsibly, is about psychological pressure rather than sensationalism. If accurate, it exemplifies why a claimant might feel intimidated continuing pursuit against a globally influential figure like Jay-Z. If inaccurate, critics might view it as narrative inflation. Raymir emphasizes ordinary life responsibilities work, children asserting he's not motivated by access to Jay-Z's wealth. That self-sufficiency framing inoculates against the cash grab trope. Reports, again selectively echoed online, say advocacy or civil rights-oriented organizations observed aspects of his struggle, reframing his case within systemic concerns about access and imbalance. Whether formal or informal, that attention broadens stakes from a private lineage dispute to a process transparency story. Once broader scrutiny touches a high-visibility brand family, collateral reputational stakes rise, pulling Beyoncé and Mathew Knowles into the commentary stream. Brand equilibrium for a couple like Jay-Z and Beyoncé relies on a coherent narrative: artistry, philanthropy, family unity. An unresolved claim of an unacknowledged firstborn poses a narrative disruption. Social media accelerates it. Hashtags defending Beyoncé, threads speculating on timelines, side-by-side photos comparing Jay-Z and Rymir, short-form videos dissecting alleged filings. Supporters of Rymir label him a stand-in for anyone seeking identity clarity against resource asymmetry. Skeptics emphasize the absence of a publicly verifiable DNA document. This polarity drives algorithmic surfacing engagement through disagreement. Mathew Knowles is referenced in online chatter as allegedly frustrated with new controversies magnetizing toward his daughter despite her not originating them. Whether every source claim about Mathew Knowles is reliable is another question. Still, his name in headlines amplifies the legacy risk framing for Beyoncé, involuntary adjacency risks shifting attention from current creative or business milestones to crisis tangents. For Jay-Z's brand narrative, built on evolution from past controversies and unresolved paternity clout, invites reinterpretation of prior redemption arcs. That's why Jay-Z's legal response attempts to pivot the frame from legitimate pursuit to alleged persistence, morphing into pressure. Jay-Z's legal representatives publicly characterize Rymir Satterthwaite's years of pursuit as a long harassment campaign. They assert multiple courts have addressed and rejected filings related to his claims. They deny intimidation allegations, labeling them false. They also say outreach attempts toward a guardian or representative met hostility, implying diminished duty to engage further. This strategy seeks to invert moral positioning, recasting persistence, which fuels sympathetic narratives for Rymir, as vexatious fixation. If they succeed in reframing, public pressure to produce DNA transparency could weaken, yet a conspicuous rhetorical hole keeps engagement alive. The absence publicly of a definitive, verifiable DNA result bearing Jay-Z's name and a lab certification. A simple exclusion, if obtained and disclosed, could collapse speculation swiftly. Jay-Z's side may argue that rewarding unverified public pressure sets a bad precedent. Critics counter that declining straightforward closure sustains suspicion. The unresolved tension remains the engine of the story's virality, which leaves the decision tree that audience discourse keeps mapping out. What's your read? Exclusion, confirmation, or endless drift? Drop a measured comment, cite why, not just which. If an official, verifiable result appears, court record or authenticated lab release, we'll break it down here with neutral language. Subscribe if you want facts instead of rumor loops. Until then, remember, unresolved isn't automatically hidden truth, but prolonged opacity invites speculation.